Alright, so the first week of Mythic Plus has finally came to an end, and I have logged every single key I have done on my Protection Paladin. This will be just a quick review of the first week. So, first thing I'm going to give is kind of my opinion on the dungeon roster. I am actually really happy with the roster. I haven't gotten a lot of reps in on the Mega dungeons, which is Galacon Fall and Rise. Mostly because there's that bug where the wrong key keeps getting listed, and then I apply for it, and it's Rise instead of Fall. So I was only able to get one Fall in and five Rises in because of it. But for the most part, five Rises, three Waycrest, four Talls, five Thicket, four Blackwork, four Everbloom, and five Throne of Tides. I had a really good selection of dungeons I was able to play during the first week of the season. So, as we see here, we did 31 runs. Two of them were disbanded, four were completed, and 25 of them were upgraded. Granted, we're not getting anything too high, but for the most part, pretty good first season. What I'm going to do here is we're going to go and I am going to just review the stats again and go through and look at my favorite dungeons and my favorite vlogs and review both of the disbands that occurred during this week. So we're just going to look at the stats here real quick. For healers, again, I was playing with guildies during this time too, so there is a little bit of a misrepresentation in it, but a lot of discrease. Even with my Holy Priest discrease that I play with, a lot of discrease. No Evoker healers, and two Paladin healers. One of the Paladin healers is actually on my disband. So first week, priority wise, I mean, it's been pretty good. Even if you take out like the Disc Priest, Holy Priest that I played with on my guild, that's not bad to be honest for the first week. Obviously, we can't really look at tank statistics since I main a tank, so that's always going to be 31. And for the most part, I mean, 14 druids, 13 mages, and 21 shamans. Again, that's my guild mate who does that. So I mean, again, another good mix. Um, and here's the upgrades and the disband. I mean, disband we haven't really been able to take a look at between like upgrades and disband because it was the first week and I wasn't doing many high keys. But for the first week, it's been pretty good. Pretty good in the sense of representation between classes and roles, not roles, but mostly just classes and specs, specifically in the Holy and Disc Priest department. And here is the first like odd run I had. It was a 6 Altaldazar with the Holy Priest being, or Discipline Priest being a guildmate, and the Feral Druid being another guildmate. In this, the totems weren't dying fast enough. Now here, this is kind of like unlucky. You know, I think the skull marker here really threw people off for the most part, so they weren't actually killing the right totem. But after I remove the skull mark, which we'll go a little bit further ahead to show it. Let's see, yeah. So we're still struggling. I mean, for some reason this one just dies way too quick on the left, and looking back at it, I'm actually not even sure what's happening. The only thing I know is that there was a shaman. He just kind of left. That's the big thing I'm trying to show, is that he just kind of straight up got up and left. So I'm trying to understand, actually looking back at this, at what really happened. At the end of the day, the shaman left. The shaman was just like on the top north totem for the rest of the fight, just using it as target practice. He does say on the bottom left there, need to kill at the same time, which is true, obviously, but he was just using the north one as target practice, and then instead of like slowing down or helping, he just ends up leaving the key, which is really obnoxious. We still triple chested it, so that wasn't a big deal. Yeah, so here we still triple chest the key, so nothing really, wasn't a huge deal. It was a 6. It was, trivial content. It's the easiest content in the game. And then the hunter says 4 mana 6. So no idea why he left. What a noob. Obviously he left because we weren't killing the totems evenly, so he got a little pissy about it and left. But yeah, it was still an upgrading, and it was a 6. It was trivial content. We could have been 4-manning. We could have 3-manned it and still triple chested it. So it was very easy. So this key I want to bring up into light also, because it kind of shows perfectly how even if everything seems to be going wrong, you can still finish the key, get gear, get the experience, and get the progress. So this was my first time doing a double digit Throne of Tides. So the trash hits a little bit harder, and I wasn't too familiar with the dungeon. Even today, as we finish and wrap up the first week of Mythic Plus, coming the second week here in a couple hours, I still don't feel entirely confident with how this dungeon plays out. I know there's some changes on these ravenous pursuits and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know that you could kite the pursuits, which would eliminate the bleed. So here you can see I have 11, 12 stacks of the bleed, just chunking in health, just every couple of seconds dying, procking all three of my CDs on it. But it shows like you can really still get stuff done even if it looks like it's all going wrong. And it was going so bad where I actually forgot that when you fail the key, a little like time shifter will come up who will allow you to repair and reset your lust. So everyone harvsts out. We come back, and the fucking sand guy is at the last boss. But as you can see, I mean, this started at 3 hours and 23 minutes, and we don't get out of it until, like, look how long we're in this for. There's us loading out of the dungeon. We wipe on the last boss a couple times. We wipe on the trash there. So yeah, we started around 3 hours and 20 minutes. I didn't get out of this dungeon until around 4 hours and 12 minutes, and we got it done still at the end of the day. And here I am, I'm in the dungeon general trying to figure out how the fight is actually done. But it shows patience and perseverance can get you through a key. It will show you that you just need to have the patience to push through it and get that W. This is another key I also kind of wanted to look at and also review in my own part. So this first poll we did, it went bad. We even lessened on it, and I'm trying to figure out exactly if there was anything that I did wrong in the sense of this dungeon, or if there's anything that we could have worked on. But it feels like people just kind of died, and I think it might have been lack of the Soul Blast cast just consistently going off. But it was bad. Like, I don't know. I don't know if Soul Blade a frontal, because I mean you can see Priest has 2 stacks and she's dying. The Shaman has 2 stacks and is dying. You know, the Priest has died. The Druid has just died there. So I'm really trying to figure out what went wrong on this pull. And if you guys have any kind of insight on what really went wrong, please, I would love to know, because it was just kind of sad and a little pathetic that we just kept dying here. And Sanguine Healing was a pain in the ass because I couldn't move any of the mobs just by myself. You know, I'm a paladin, but I'm also trying to deal with, I thought Soul Blade was a frontal. So for the most part, I'm here trying to, block and dodge Soul Blade while also moving mobs that is Sanguine. Looking back on it now, and honestly, it doesn't actually look that bad. Like when I was doing this dungeon live, I thought like, oh god, I feel like crap that this poll is going so wrong. But looking back at it, doesn't look too bad. Maybe it was a healing issue, maybe it was a tank issue, maybe it was a DPS issue. It's hard to tell if it was a DPS issue because we had so many players just kind of perish every once in a while. I mean, that was a full team wipe minus me. And if I died, I'm sure that would have probably disbanded the key and made someone leave, which is kind of foresight, which I'll show you here in a second on why that's foresight. Alright, and here's the foresight. So obviously we're not doing too well. We're going up the rock gauntlet. People start perishing to the rock gauntlet. We got 11 minutes and we haven't even touched the 3rd boss. But here, the shaman dies. So he dies to the... not shaman, I'm sorry. The warlock dies. He dies to, obviously, the rocks. And the priest or someone's rezzing him. And he gets up. Right? Oh, and he goes. And he leaves. And he leaves. He takes a res from the healer and he goes, alright guys, I'm head out. As one of my favorite streamers says, thanks for stopping by. And the druid says, sick. 14s is still relatively low, but 14s do drop some gear that's going to make higher keys and higher raid content easier. But he decides to leave. However, this was pretty much mostly a guild group. So we decided that we were going to persevere, just like the Everbloom, the Throne of Tides, persevere and get through the dungeon. I see him scrolling up because I'm trying to figure out what he said, if he said anything, and he didn't. He just kind of left. He was just done with the dungeon. So which is like really weird. But yeah, here we are at the end of the dungeon. Boss is about 14% HP, so we got through it. Took over time. Took us a little bit longer to complete because we're doing a 14 with 4 players. But there was no way in hell that we weren't gonna just get this done. Get a 14 into our chest, get a potential, some pretty epic loot. I still got 18 points from this dungeon, which isn't a lot of points. Don't get me wrong, but still getting 18 points. Like that 18 points was worth it just to get that 18 points was worth just to do a 4-man 14 dungeon, which is just so silly that he would leave like that. Because we could have maybe even chested it at that point if he stayed. And lastly, I just wanted to look at my disband list. There was only 2. And 11 Dark Heart Thicket, which is kind of odd that it did. And this was like the 15th. This was actually like the second day of the season. So someone just kind of rage quit, which we'll watch. I was looking back on this and I changed how I pull this trash. So what I did is, God, this is embarrassing that I have this up and it's showing. Anyway, so actually the dungeon took a little bit to get ready. So the guy does a pull timer and the Holy Paladin isn't here. So then he does a second ready check and he does a pull timer again, but he's like, fuck it, dude. You only get 1 pull timer. That's all you get. You have earned a singular pull timer. That's it. I have to get this done. So I don't know what's going on with the dragon there. So we start the first pull. First pull goes, decently well. I underestimate how hard this pull actually is, and I guess the mage knows how hard it is. I believe we lust. Or maybe we didn't. Yeah, so we bloodlust, so we time warp rather. And I still actually don't know how hard this trash pull is, except for this orient, which I can just bubble out of. So and every group I've done has bloodlusted on this pull. So someone dies, grievous rip. I'm not sure exactly what. I still don't know what causes that. So here is the bear. So I thought that the bear did some kind of frontal. So I was facing him towards the trash that pats this way. So I'm standing right in the pat. So he does spew corruption. So that's what I thought the frontal was. However, that mechanic just spawns the little ads. So I'm sitting here, we're killing the grizzly, and these ads are coming towards me. How I position myself now is I position myself behind where the DPS are and move back towards the spawn. But here, we pull these 2 guys, and with the bears, ads are still spawning. They're still coming close to us, so I'm forced to backpedal, and then this pull gets pulled. I'm not sure if I caused it or if someone else caused it. I believe I did, but I do know this is me. So we pull this. Obviously, there's just way too much trash, way too much stuff going on. Even 4 and 11, these 2 bears, one of the bears alone are pretty dreadful. So, but for the most part, that shit sucks. You just kill the bear and you triple chest a key. Whatever, not a big deal. But for the Holy Paladin, it was a game breaker because here the ads are still in combat. Actually, he doesn't even know the ads are in combat. He just straight up leaves. So obviously that was a disband, on a Wednesday. I have no idea what his progression is like right now. I don't want to check because I don't really like blasting people because he could have left for any reasons, and I don't really have the effort nor time to like review why he left. I don't really care that much. But yeah, that was the first disband of the season. And the second disband is this Everbloom here. So this was a weird one too. So what happens here is we start the first pull of the dungeon, and this is a hard pull, and this was my first time doing this pull too, this really hard pull. So I'm pulling, this, that, pulling this, and the flowers get pulled, and then you bloodlust it. I mean, you always bloodlust this pull. So it's hard. It's a tough one. Don't get me wrong. And I kind of fucked up on this pull too with sanguine management. I think this is only like my 3rd key with sanguine at this time. So it goes pretty well at first. Things die, and then I kind of slow down on moving him out of sanguine. So, and then I'm here with the choking vine, so I'm trying to like freeing myself out of it. But for the most part, I mean, some things get healed pretty tremendously, almost to full health. But the poll goes well. I believe, I don't remember if anyone dies. Those mobs get feared. I don't know why the priest feared them like that, but those mobs get feared, and now they're just auto attacking us. But things are dying. You know, the poll goes decently well. Well, it looks like a couple people are dying. It doesn't look like they're dying because we got pushed all the way back to spawn. And honestly, when you look back at these keys, they always seem worse in your head. Like they really do. Like, oh god, this went terrible. But when you watch it back, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look. It didn't really go that bad. We had 2 deaths on like the hardest pull in the dungeon, and then the healer just disappears, which is so weird. I mean, 2 deaths, guys. Like that is not bad. I mean, there's the warrior's doing 170k, the shaman's doing 172k. I believe the elemental shaman probably died very early on, so he wasn't able to pump out a lot of damage. But I mean, that pull in post doesn't look as bad as I thought it was. But then the priest goes offline. I don't know the reason for the priest to go offline. I don't. Nobody says anything. You know, I start. You know, some people they just DC. So I just continue with the poll. I notice early on that he left. I say it in the VOD, which I have muted right now because I don't want to hear me talking over each other. You know, so I do the next poll, which I thought would be just fine because it looks like a small poll, but the shaman dies, the elemental shaman dies there, and somebody then mentions like healer AFK or healer DC. Yeah, someone out the other shaman then perishes to venom burst. Let's see, yeah, here it comes, and someone will be like healer AFK, healer DC, healer AFK. There, heal AFK. Which kind of makes me stop then at that point. And then, you know, because this was a pug group, so I'm just like, is anyone friends with him? Is he gonna come back? Is he gonna? Why did he DC? Anybody know? The answer is who knows. He's gone. We try to give him some time to come back. He never does. So the key ends up disbanding. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is we did the 14 with the group and chested it, which was great because I still think in week 2 I'm gonna struggle with the route a little bit still. But we get another healer, another priest healer, and we complete the key. We one chest it. I think I do the same pull here again. We'll review the same pull. Yeah, I do the same one. See if there's any difference on how I deal with it. I actually pull one extra mob here. I pulled that extra bug. I believe I'm a little bit more prepared for like choking vines, some other things going off. So we got some interrupts. I haven't used any of my stuns yet. I still have Hajj, Blinding Light, and my interrupt. But yeah, see, I'm more like ready for Sanguine to come out and fuck us up. And the warrior's doing almost 500k at his item level and at 14. That mob over there is just gonna be sitting there casting, but only one of them is in Sanguine, but he moves up, and for the most part, this pull goes a lot better. No deaths. I don't believe any deaths. Yeah, and then we're on the next pull, and at the end of the day, we one chest the key. Let's see if I can find it. It's not that far into it. And my route got a lot better here too. So yeah, here's the last boss, and you know we time the key. Only a one chest, but you know for my first time doing like a higher of a bloom. It's all set. Chest it. Let's see if I just fast forward to it. Yep, there it is. Got 61 points from that. Yeah, so there's that. And we're done with that. That was pretty much our review of season 1. Pretty good. I really am having a lot of fun with the season, and I think a big reason why I'm having a lot of fun too is because I'm using this spreadsheet, which I realized that during the spreadsheet I actually have a couple videos that I have to put on here. Let's see, I believe it's these 4 that need videos. Yeah, that's my last stream I gotta get videos for. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I think the only reason why I got 31 runs in is because of the spreadsheet. So yeah, pretty good week. 80% upgrades, 12% completion, 93 were finished, 19% depleted, and only 6% of the keys were disbanded. We're streaming this week. It might be a little bit harder because of Thanksgiving, and I also got some work-related activities that need to be finished. So we'll see how that plays out, how that works. But on that note, I hope you guys have a great season 2, and I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you guys.